For most of us, telling a meaningful motorcycle story, or just a meaningful story, is something that is not the easiest thing to articulate. I remember as a child, my mother and my grandmother would bring out books and books of photo albums that were filled with pictures. They would sit and talk to me about my family's history, who this and that person was, and all that they accomplished in their lifetime. I guess that was my first introduction to storytelling that involved people and places that I was actually familiar with. So what are the ingredients for a meaningful motorcycle story? Well, for starters, I would say a motorcycle. Okay, maybe two in this situation. But other than that, I think what you really need is a passion and a dedication to the story itself. This passion and dedication is just really an avenue to connect with your audience, or my audience in this situation, and bring you into the story so that you feel like that you are a part of my experience as well. I can remember when I bought my very first Street Glide. I bought this beautiful 2020 Tahitian Teal Street Glide from White Lightning Harley Davidson, and at the time that I purchased that motorcycle, I had no intention whatsoever of sharing my stories. To be honest, of course I knew about YouTube, but I had no idea there was such a wealth of information about motorcycles out on the internet. Unfortunately, I didn't get to spend too much time with this bike because of a bad motorcycle accident that I was involved in. But during my time with this motorcycle, I had some fantastic adventures and really learned how to begin to tell my story. Good breakfast here. It's pretty good. It's probably the only place I've been to before where you can get your breakfast and a bait shop all at the same place. I published about 40-something videos with this motorcycle, and I loved every second of it. I took my first motorcycle trip to Florida on this bike. My first time riding the Tail of the Dragon, Cherahalla Skyway, and the Devil's Triangle. My wife and I took many adventures together on this bike too. We told our stories when we went to Maggie Valley, North Carolina with our local hog group. We visited the Foothills Parkway together, and even a day trip out to the Chattanooga Choo Choo. I should also bring up the countless moto vlogs, solo day trips, upgrade videos that really allowed me to cut my teeth and find my way forward as a storyteller. You know, I really loved that bike, and if the situation was different, I am confident that I would still own it to this day. Now, not every story that I tell is all about puppy dogs and ice cream. There are those moments in life that sometimes must be told from the heart, and sharing those can be really difficult. Like the time I made the video and finally disclosed information about my motorcycle accident from 2020. Now that was a rough one.
And I just saw you laying in the middle of the road. That's the first thing I remember. And I saw the bike off to the side. And then people were running up to you, and I thought you were dead.
Yep, that was definitely a tough story for my wife and I, but we are all healed, we are all happy, and back to good things. Oh, and how about my motorcycle trip to Florida with my buddy Eric? This was during COVID, and we stopped at the National Naval Museum, and men with machine guns kindly told us to get lost. That was interesting.
Oh, it's closed to the general public? Yeah, but you can do that.
Okay. Oh, one of my favorites was as soon as I bought my Road Glide, my buddy and Eric again, we went down to Florida for a 1,700-mile epic road trip. We went through some torrential downpours. We got lost in the middle of the night. Lucky for us, we made it home safe and sound. We came back with some awesome stories. I know that most of you guys know exactly how I tell my stories, but what about you? What is the best way for you to document and tell your stories? I would say that's going to be different from person to person, and it depends largely on how comfortable you are communicating with others. Do you need a GoPro? No. Do you need a YouTube channel? Absolutely not. All that you really need is a willingness and a desire to share your story with others and you are well on your way. Telling your story, believe it or not, is not always about you. It could be about close friends, relatives, or anyone that inspires you. Take an afternoon ride with a group of friends. Go to an event at your local dealership. I try to do that with White Lightning Harley Davidson every chance I get. And you want to make sure that you are having a good time, documenting your memories in whatever capacity that might be. Have fun, laugh, be ridiculous.
We're both out of breath and out of shape. It's okay.
I used to work for this company that operated by the slogan, making memories worth repeating. I never really saw the value in that while I was working there, but since I've started riding motorcycles, wow, it makes perfect sense. Making memories is one thing, but having the desire to repeat those memories with friends and strangers alike, now that is something that I have only experienced on a motorcycle. Like the day my good buddy HDR and I and a group of others, we took our motorcycles off-road near Tazewell, Virginia, near Back of the Dragon. The pucker factor was so extremely high, but we still laugh about that to this day. What a great memory to share with others.
I mean, look at that drop off. That's nuts, y'all. Nuts. I mean, if you go over the edge right there, you're gone in more ways than one. I mean, it's just crazy.
I've only recently begun to share my story and to invite others in with me on this experience. It is intimidating to share your story because I always ask myself, what makes what I have to say so special that others would want to listen? But we all have our own stories to share that are unique and valuable to others. So if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this video, it's this. We all have stories to tell, so tell yours. People are listening. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.